and FedEx Ground are merging. 4 local sites are shutting down as
I busted my and I was just laid off. These companies do not care about us.
FedEx loses that business, and now they don't need as many workers.
on Tuesday, over 200 FedEx employees had the rug pulled from underneath.
Imagine walking into work one morning to find your badge deactivated. No warning, no goodbye. That's the reality thousands of FedEx employees have faced over the last 2 years as the logistics giant embarks on what critics call a bloodbath of layoffs and facility closures. Stick around, because the ripple effects from these cuts aren't just felt by former couriers. They're upending entire communities and threatening your next package delivery. In this video, you'll discover how FedEx's headcount plunged by 42,000 between 2022 and 2024, wiping out jobs from Tennessee to North Carolina. Why Network 2.0 consolidation led to shuttered ship centers in 5 states and a 326-person closure in Union City, Georgia. How automation, like Memphis's mammoth sorting hub, capable of 56,000 packages per hour, is replacing people faster than anyone realized. By the end, you'll understand why this isn't just a corporate cost-cutting exercise. It's a massive realignment, shaking the backbone of American logistics. Over the past 2 years, FedEx's U.S. workforce shrank from roughly 547,000 employees in mid-2022 to about 505,000 by May 2024, a staggering 42,000 job reduction. In May 2025 alone, a WARN notice in Lebanon, Tennessee, announced 217 layoffs. June brought another 341 cuts in North Carolina. And back in August 2023, 843 positions vanished across facilities in Colorado, Ohio, Texas, Georgia, and Mississippi. Even Europe felt the squeeze, with up to 2,000 roles eliminated in 2024 to 2025. In towns built around FedEx centers, grocery stores reported 20 to 30% sales drops, and daycares lost entire group enrollments within weeks of closures. These cuts stem from Network 2.0, FedEx's multi-billion-dollar consolidation plan aimed at saving $6 billion by 2027. Ship centers in Arkansas, Mississippi, and North Carolina were quietly closed or staff reduced, while a high-profile logistics hub in Union City, Georgia, laid off 326 workers after losing a major client. Local leaders warn that these closures don't just idle package sorters. They throttle small business deliveries, stunt regional growth, and leave hundreds scrambling for new employment in areas with few alternatives. At the heart of this purge is automation. In October 2024, FedEx unveiled an automated sorting plant in Memphis capable of processing 56,000 packages per hour, enough to replace hundreds of human sorters per shift. Meanwhile, partnerships with robotics firms promise driverless delivery by 2028 in states from Texas to Pennsylvania. Although FedEx claims these investments enhance speed and reliability, frontline workers see it as a harbinger of even deeper cuts. Industry analysts predict that by 2027, human involvement in FedEx's network could drop by as much as 40%, further widening the gap between corporate profits and community livelihoods. So far, we've traced how thousands lost their jobs and how automation swallowed entire roles. But what's driving FedEx to prioritize cost savings over people? Next, we'll dig into the pressure from Amazon's logistics push, the controversial $5 billion stock buyback that sparked outrage, and the real financial targets behind this seismic shakeup. Before we dive back in, please hit the like button. Your support fuels every story we share. We're aiming for 5,000 subscribers on Global Insight, and your subscription would mean the world to us. Thank you for helping us grow. Now let's continue. FedEx isn't just trimming fat. It's racing into a future that sidelines its own people. Why? Because rivals and Wall Street demanded it. When FedEx announced the end of its Amazon contract in 2019, it didn't expect Amazon to return the favor by building a same-day delivery hub just a few miles from its Fort Worth facility, hiring 2,000 workers, while FedEx slashed 305 jobs there in early 2025. That wasn't an isolated clash. It was a message. Amazon wants your parcels, and it'll pay workers more to get them. Overnight, FedEx's domestic shipping revenues cratered. Q1 2025 saw the worst quarterly haul in over a decade. As managers scrambled to plug the gap, employees found themselves collateral damage in an e-commerce arms race. Behind the scenes, FedEx's board greenlit a $5 billion stock buyback in 2024, and then added another $3.1 billion in June 2025. On earnings calls, executives praised the boost to share prices, while workers were handed 2 weeks severance after a decade on the job. At a recent shareholders meeting, one laid-off driver, Miguel Alvarez, 12 years at FedEx, a cancer survivor, father of 4, stood up and asked, "Where's the loyalty to us?" His badge had already been deactivated by email. He never saw his severance in person. That disconnect between boardroom decisions and break-room lives sparked outrage across FedEx's ranks. Meanwhile, cost-cutting isn't limited to people. Entire sorting centers are being mothballed under the so-called Operation Reinvention. A facility in Chicago closed last November after losing a single tech giant customer. In New Jersey and Southern California, FedEx is reducing shifts so drastically that some drivers now cover twice the territory. Local union reps report mechanics forced to work 12-hour overtime just to keep aging trucks rolling. Yet the company's press releases trumpet improved network efficiency, as if empty facilities and exhausted staff were metrics to celebrate. All of this sits on the top of a broader automation push. FedEx's Memphis mega hub isn't an experiment anymore. It's the future blueprint. Robots carry, scan, and sort packages in exact patterns, never calling in sick or demanding overtime pay. A pilot with Aurora Innovation promises autonomous delivery vans on Texas roads by year's end. Combine that with AI-driven route optimization, and you've got a logistics machine designed to trim the human out of humanitarian shipping. By 2028, FedEx aims to slash headcount by another 20% simply through technology. While workers vanish, FedEx's PAC poured $2.3 million into lobbying from 2023 to 2025, quietly influencing regulators as WARN notices trickled in. Local mayors, dependent on FedEx jobs, find themselves between praising innovation and pleading for federal relief for displaced workers. In Kentucky's rural Harlan County, the last drop-off center closed without warning in May, leaving farmers scrambling for alternatives or watching produce rot on docks. They say there's no such thing as a free lunch, but when it comes to FedEx's executive suite, free might as well be their middle name. Even as thousands of frontline workers saw their badges deactivated, insiders quietly raked in huge payouts. Between 2021 and 2024, FedEx doled out $1.5 billion in executive bonuses, on the same tracks that cost Miguel Alvarez his job. In the quarter, the layoffs began. $41 million more performance bonuses landed in C-suite pockets. Meanwhile, rank-and-file employees were offered 2 weeks severance for a decade of service. And in some cases, healthcare premiums spiked just days before pink slips arrived. Worse, FedEx exploited a loophole in the WARN Act, a regulation meant to protect workers by requiring 60-day notice before mass layoffs. By staggering cuts across different facilities and dates, FedEx technically stayed under the mass layoff threshold in most communities. Only Lebanon, Tennessee officially filed. Other towns were left in the dark until the lights went off. When asked, local mayors shrugged, torn between touting the company's commitment to innovation and begging for unemployment assistance for dozens of displaced families. What does this mean for you, the everyday customer? First, expect growing inconsistencies in your delivery experience. Reports are already coming in of longer transit times, missed pickups, and a sudden spike in lost packages, especially in rural areas where driver cuts were deepest. One Idaho farmer complained his fruit crate sat in a FedEx truck for 3 days after the local drop-off center shut down. By freeing up capital for automation, FedEx may boost profits, but you'll pay the price through delays, surcharges, and dwindling customer service. Second, this shakeup is reshaping the last-mile ecosystem. Independent contractors, once supplementing FedEx's workforce, are now bombarded with demands to cover expanded routes without extra pay. That strain risks turning our neighborhoods into delivery deserts, where same-day shipping becomes a lofty promise rather than a guarantee. Finally, the broader lesson is clear. When a logistics giant prioritizes shareholder returns over people, the entire supply chain frays. Small businesses that depend on reliable shipping may face canceled service agreements. E-commerce sellers, already squeezed by platform fees, could see their margins evaporate under higher rates and slower delivery windows. In short, FedEx's headcount realignment isn't an isolated corporate strategy. It's a warning shot across the bow of every business and consumer who relies on timely, dependable shipping. If you're ready to stay ahead of every twist and turn, whether it's job cuts, market shocks, or the next big headline, hit like, subscribe, and don't miss what comes next. Click the video on your screen now to keep uncovering the stories that shape your world and your wallet. Tap in and stay informed.